Welcome back, dear children. Now we will move to the next topic, characteristics of wave motion. So already we learned that sound moves in the form of waves, and we have discussed about longitudinal as well as transverse waves, isn't it? Now the next one is about the characteristics of wave motion. There are two important characteristics for wave motion. First one is a wave is produced by the periodic disturbance in a medium. Okay, so it's very important. What are the characteristics of wave motion? How is a wave produced? A wave is produced by a periodic disturbance. Okay, so due to disturbance in the medium, a wave is produced. Now the second one, when the wave moves through a medium, it makes the particles of the medium to vibrate, thereby transmitting energy. Okay, so when a wave moves through a medium, what happens? It makes the particles of the medium to vibrate, and when these particles vibrate, energy gets transmitted. Okay, so please be thorough with these two characteristics. What are the characteristics of wave motion? A wave is first one. A wave is produced by a periodic disturbance in a medium. And the second one, when a wave moves through a medium, it makes the particles of the medium to vibrate. When it vibrates, energy gets transmitted. Okay. Now, the next one is about the terms related to wave motion. Okay. So, here we will consider a transverse wave. How does a transverse wave move? It moves in the form of crest and trough, isn't it? A transverse wave moves in the form of crest and trough. So, in order to learn about the terms related to a wave, we are using a transverse wave. Clear? So, the first one is amplitude. Okay? So, which is the first term? It is amplitude. So, what is amplitude? When a wave moves through a medium, it makes the particles of the medium to vibrate. So, the maximum displacement of the particles of the medium from its mean position can be called as amplitude. So, the wave is moving like this. So, this is the mean position. At first, the particles are on the surface. When the wave moves, what happens? The particles will be moving up and down. Since it is a transverse wave will move horizontally and the particles will be moving up and down. So when these particles move up and down, how much distance or the displacement it covers, that is known as amplitude. So at first the waves were at this position, that is its mean position. Then it moves up and down. So how much it moves up and down, that is amplitude. Amplitude is represented by small letter a. Since it is the displacement, what about the unit? Its unit will be meter, it is length, isn't it? So when a wave moves through a medium, the particles of the medium vibrate, and the maximum displacement of the particles of the medium from its mean position to how much height it is moving from the mean position, that is known as amplitude. It is represented by small letter a and it is measured in meters. Now, second one is the time period. So, what is time period? All these things we have discussed in the case of a simple pendulum in first chapter. Okay, so there it was related to the oscillation. Here it is related to vibrations. So what is time period? The time taken by the particles of a medium to complete one vibration. So here one vibration means it is the one wave here we are considering. Okay, so the time taken by the particles to complete one vibration is known as time period. It is represented by capital T. Capital T stands for time period. Time taken to complete. So what about the unit? Unit for time is seconds. Okay. So the time taken by the wave to complete one vibration, not the wave, time taken by the particles of the medium to complete one vibration is known as time period. Please by heart these definitions. Okay. and it is represented by the letter capital T and it is measured in seconds. Now the third one is frequency. What is frequency? The number of vibrations per second. Okay, the number of vibrations per second can be called as frequency. Time taken for one vibration is time period, and the number of vibrations in 1 second is frequency. Frequency is represented by small letter f and its unit is hertz. Okay, H said, capital H and small letter Z. So already we have learned about these terms. Time taken to complete. Time taken by the particles of the medium to complete one vibration is known as time period. Number of vibrations completed in 1 second can be called as frequency. Okay. Now there is a relation connecting time period and frequency. What is that? Time period is equal to the reciprocal of frequency, or frequency is equal to the reciprocal of time period. Time period means here how much time is taken for the particles to complete one vibration. Then how many vibrations in 1 second is frequency. Okay. Now we are having two more terms here. The next one is wavelength. Okay. Wavelength is represented by the letter lambda. This stands for lambda. Okay. L-A-M-B-D-A, lambda. Wavelength represented by lambda. The distance travelled by a wave in one time period can be called as wavelength. So what is wavelength? The distance travelled by a wave in one time period. It is represented by the letter lambda. So here also it is the distance travelled by the wave. So it will be measured in meter. Or you can say that wavelength is the length of one wave. In this, what makes one wave? One crest and one trough together makes a wave. Okay. So this makes a single wave. This much is a wave. So the length of one wave, it is wavelength. Or you can say that the distance between two consecutive crests or two consecutive troughs. When you are measuring the distance between two consecutive crests or two consecutive troughs, you will be getting the length of a wave, and that is our wavelength. Okay. So what is wavelength? Actually wavelength means it is the distance travelled by a wave in one time period, or you can say that it is the length of a wave. Now the next one is wave velocity. So what is wave velocity? Wave velocity is represented by small letter v. Since it is velocity, its unit is meter per second. So velocity, it is distance travelled by the wave per second. Okay. Distance travelled by the wave per second is wave velocity. So these are the 5 terms which you should remember related to a wave. So same thing you can consider in the case of a longitudinal wave also, but it is difficult to say since it is compressions and rarefactions. That is why usually we are taking a sine wave. This is known as a sine wave. Okay, a transverse wave in order to represent this. So terms related to a wave, first one, it is amplitude. The maximum displacement of the particles of the medium can be called as amplitude, represented by small letter a. It is measured in meter. Time taken to complete one vibration is time period, capital T, measured in seconds. Then the number of vibrations produced in 1 second is frequency, represented by small letter f, and it is measured in hertz. Now wavelength. Wavelength is actually the length of the wave or distance travelled by, covered by a wave in one time period. It is represented by the letter lambda. Now the distance travelled by the wave per second can be called as wave velocity. Okay, so for wavelength you can say that it is the length of a wave or the distance between two consecutive crests or two consecutive troughs. Now one more thing here, the frequency is a factor which always depends on the source. Okay, the wave velocity, etc. may change, but frequency always depends on the source. It won't change. Okay. So the factor which won't change is frequency. It always depends on the source which produce the sound. Then we have a relation connecting T and F. That is, time period is 1 by frequency. This is the reciprocal of frequency. Okay. Now we have two graphs. First one is displacement time graph. Okay. It's displacement time graph. Okay. Second one is displacement distance graph. These two graphs are important. Okay. Displacement time graph and displacement distance graph. So first we will be considering displacement time graph. Here the time will be taken along the x-axis and displacement will be taken along the y-axis. Time along the x-axis, displacement along the y-axis. Now, when you are considering a displacement time graph, the distance between two crests will give you, since it is displacement and time, you will get the time period. Okay. So, here the distance between two consecutive crests will give you the time period. But when you are considering displacement distance graph, here in the x-axis we are having distance and in the y-axis we are having displacement. In the case of displacement distance graph, the distance between two crests, consecutive crests, will give you the wavelength. Here in the x-axis we have taken distance. Distance between two consecutive crests is wavelength. Here we have taken the time. So here distance between two crests means it is actually the time taken to complete one wave. That is why we are having the time period. Okay. So we are considering two different graphs. First one is displacement time graph. Displacement along the y-axis and time along the x-axis. In all these cases, the height of the wave will give you the, what is this? Amplitude. Height of the wave is amplitude. Here in the x-axis, we have taken time. So, here till this is one wave. Okay. Or between two crests. When you are considering the distance between two crests, actually one wave is formed there. So, the time taken here we have a single wave. Okay, one wave is taken there and that is the time taken to complete one wave. That is why we are giving it as capital T. Time taken to one wave is time period and you will be getting time period from a displacement time graph. Here I have taken a displacement distance graph. Distance along the x-axis and displacement along the y-axis. In this case, the distance between two consecutive crests will give you the wavelength because distance between, here distance is taken along the x-axis. Distance between two consecutive crests is wavelength. Okay. So these two diagrams are very important. Please keep this in mind. Which are they? First one, it is displacement time graph. From displacement time graph, you will be getting the time period, and from distance displacement graph, you will be getting the wavelength. So please keep this in mind. Okay. Now, the next one is a relation connecting velocity, frequency and wavelength. It's very, very important. Okay, not only in the case of sound, for light also this equation is very important. Its derivation is given there. No need to consider the derivation. We need just the equation. Okay, so by heart this equation, we have numericals with this. V is equal to F lambda. It comes in the case of light as well as sound. The equation is V is equal to F lambda. What does V stands for? It is wave velocity. Okay. Velocity is equal to frequency into wavelength. Now itself by heart this equation. This is a relation connecting velocity, frequency and wavelength. V, wave velocity is equal to F, frequency into wavelength. Clear? So please by heart this equation. Okay. Now the next one is the speed of sound in different medium. Okay, so many things are given in your textbook. No need to go deep into it because there they have written about adiabatic change, isothermal change, etc., which will come only in the +2 level. So from the next topic, you have to study only the equations. Okay, I'll give you 3 equations. Only you can underline that in your textbook. Study only those 3 equations. Other things are not needed. Okay, because you are not going to learn about those things. Those are, if you don't know the basics in that, you won't understand what it is. Okay, so that is the reason why I told you don't consider the explanations there. Just study only these 3 equations. Okay, that is equations for speed of a sound in a medium. V is equal to root of. First thing what you have to keep in mind is speed of sound in a medium depends on 2 factors. It depends on the elasticity as well as density of the medium. Speed of sound in a medium depends on elasticity and density of the medium. Based on that, we have the relation V, speed is equal to square root of elasticity by density. Rho stands for density. Now, Newton said that instead of elasticity, we can keep there pressure. Okay, elasticity will be equal to pressure under certain conditions. So, he modified the equation as V is equal to P by rho, where P is the pressure. Finally, Laplace, that is another scientist, he made this equation as gamma P by rho. Gamma is a constant and which is now it is known as specific heat. Okay, specific heat. So, gamma P by rho. It is given by the scientist Laplace. So, please consider only these 3 equations. Clear? Consider only these 3 equations. So, first I told you to remember the equation V is equal to F lambda. That is a relation connecting velocity, frequency and wavelength. That's very important. Here we don't have numericals with this. Since it is mentioned in the textbook I have given you. Don't give much importance to this section. Speed of sound in a medium is given by the equation V is equal to square root of E by rho. Why? Because speed of sound in a medium depends on 2 factors. Elasticity as well as density of the medium. Okay, speed of sound in a medium depends on elasticity and density of the medium. Now, Newton said that under specific conditions, elasticity will be equal to pressure. So, he modified the equation as V is equal to square root of P by rho. Then, after that, Laplace added a constant there which is gamma. So, the equation became V is equal to square root of gamma P by rho, where gamma is a constant known as specific heat. Okay, so only those 3 equations you have to consider from that topic. Now, speed of sound in different media is given in your textbook. So, only one thing you have to keep in mind. Sound travels with maximum speed in solids, then less in liquids and least in gases. Okay, don't need to by heart those values. Now, 2 examples are given to prove that the speed of sound in steel is more than that in air. So, the first one is you are considering a steel rod. Okay, take a steel rod and it can be placed on a table or on a long table. Then one person can stand on one end and the other person on the other end. Now the person standing on this end. So here a long steel rod, 2 people standing there. Okay, so let him produce a sound by keeping his mouth closer to the steel rod, and let this person keep his ears closer to it. This person will be hearing two sounds. Okay, first sound will one sound which comes through the steel rod and the other one through air, and the sound which he hears first will be the sound coming through the steel rod. So this proves that sound travels with maximum speed in solids than in gases. Okay, so once again, a steel rod, two persons are standing on either sides of the steel rod. This person will be producing a sound. So the person B will be hearing two different sounds, one coming through the steel rod and the other one through air. So the sound coming through steel rod will reach his ears first. After that only the sound through air will come. Same thing, when you are keeping your ear on the railway track, please don't do that. Usually when you stand on the platform, you will be hear the sound of the train coming. So that is the sound coming through air. Now if you keep your ear on the railway track, okay, again I am repeating, please don't do that. If you keep the ear on the railway track, then you can hear the sound. One more sound will be heard. So that sound, actually sound travels with maximum speed in solids. So the train may be in the nearby station, but you will feel that sound when you keep the ear on the railway track. But the sound coming through the air will be heard only after some time. This proves that sound travels with maximum speed in solids. Okay. Now, please take your textbook and in that take page number 182. Page number 182, exercise 8A. So, here question number 1 to 22. Okay. No need to write lecture notes for this topic. I need just the question answers. Question number 1 to 22. In that, for few questions already answer is mentioned. So rest you have to write in your notebook and you have to submit. Okay. Question number 1 to 22. From 23 onwards they have given the answer. So question number 1 to 22. If the answer is given in the textbook directly, that is for question number 1, 3, 6, etc. they have given the answer. No need to copy that. Rest you have to write and you have to upload in the Google Classroom. So write these question answers, study it thoroughly before the Google Meet. Okay, I will be asking questions. Okay, thank you children.